Wake up, gamers, because you're listening to the Big Think Dimension with Dan and Bob Video Games. I'm really glad we could both be here.
Right? It's not always.
Chris Wolfhard.
Smoke.
Dr. Aggro.
Smoke.
Here on GigaBoots. Is this superliminal messaging? What is this?
It's liminal.
Not coming in too low or too high.
It's right there in the pocket. It's also bit theft. So that makes it cool.
Oh, wow. You're so much cooler than Chris Wolfhard. When he said it was dumb.
See, he's an idiot for saying it first.
What a tool.
That's called the prisoner's dilemma. I'm very good at game theory. That makes me smart.
Wow, you are so smart. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Big Think Dimension number 197. Bob and I played quite a few games last week. We played, what is this? Nier Automata, Shadow of the Colossus, and Breath of the Wild.
Man, how'd we get all those in there?
I don't know. We just mashed that into one game, and we played it last Friday, and it was called Sonic Frontiers.
Yep.
It was really funny.
You forgot Ikaruga.
That's true. I figured that was covered in Nier Automata because it was a very thrifty version of Ikaruga. That was a good
You
stream.
also forgot Metal Gear Rising. That one for that one part.
Yes.
That is also true.
Now, Dan, I've heard that Sonic Frontiers is a very bad game because of something about momentum.
Okay. You've described a Sonic game. I don't know what to tell you.
Now,
They do have an interesting thing where the open world has completely different feel from the cyberspace levels.
we're getting closer to my ideal, which is no, Sonic has times where he goes fast and the physics is devoted to that, and then he has times where he controls like a character in a platforming game.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that would be the ideal.
Right.
You know, if only they made some sort of Sonic game on the Wii U where there was a run button and you used it to do cool wall running stuff. I'm sure that game would be fine.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
First topic of Big Think Dimension number 197. Audience, should we buy an Xbox Series S? At this point, Microsoft has basically come to our front door and begged us, as they're only charging $250 with a $50 Target card for free for buying it. And part of me just goes, is it fair for us to say it's bad if we don't own one? People on the internet say it is.
So is this some devious plan by you, Dan?
What?
To personally cause Microsoft to lose $250?
Well, never.
Because that is how much they lose on a Series S being sold for $250.
Yeah, they did that article where they were like, we lose $200 on each. And I'm like, now is that when thinking of the MSRP? Or is that when you cut it down $50? Like, what did you... But yeah, I don't know. I feel like we've done a pretty good job in the grand scheme of things having these consoles and trying the games by the respective owners on, you know, trying to give representation to their games. But we've sat here and based on videos and obvious really hard science, maybe looked at the Series S as a digital only console and gone, that's not a great deal.
You get it? And then I'm like, okay, Bob, you have to review... You have to be on the spoiler cast for Starfield using the Series S.
Yeah, that's the one he gets to play.
I keep forgetting that it's digital only because that's insane.
Yeah, that's the worst part of the deal for sure. Because it's hard to be like, oh, it's my kid's console when it's like, well, okay, your kid can no longer trade games at all. They can't buy used games. They can't trade in their games. It is economically not a great deal in that sense.
I guess because, again, the only time I've seen a Series S in the wild was with my nephews who both have one. They have their own. And then their parents just subscribe to Game Pass.
That has to be the only way that works out, yeah.
Right, that's the ideal in Microsoft's head. It's the Game Pass box.
Right.
And then they use it to play Fortnite. Or they and actually mostly play their Switch much more.
Yeah, that checks out. Bob, by the way, for the Starfield spoiler cast, you're going to have to play the Series S exclusively in your bedroom. Because I hear
it is the bedroom console.
that
You're
is
right.
the ideal environment for a Series S is the bedroom.
I'll get it hooked up to my CRT.
I could figure that out. I could find a way.
I tend to let the completely insane things that tech journalists say go, but how out of touch do you have to be to say this is a great second console for your bedroom? Obviously, you already have a $500 console in your living room, but you need the $300 one in your bedroom.
Really out of touch to a point that's very upsetting to me. But, you know. I sit there, and if I buy a coffee from Starbucks, I'm like, I deserve to be thrown in a trash compactor. I'm not even human anymore. Like, just because that's expensive and a level of frivolity that, I don't know. It just feels like gross excess to me. A lot of things feel that way to me, though. I've been poor as shit most of my life.
That'll do it.
Yeah, as it turns out. So the notion of like, well, you have a $500 console for the living room, and you, a grown man-child who presumably has no children, have your own additional $300 console for the bedroom. But I don't know.
For what?
I don't know. You have a TV in your bedroom and it's 1080p.
Like when they said this shit about the Wii U and they say this shit about the Steam Deck, like I can get it. I can get my head around it.
Okay.
How about a shittier version of the console you have for your bedroom?
Oh.
No, thank you. The fuck?
Yeah, like I got a streaming box for my bedroom because I want to watch something while I'm trying to sleep. I'm not going to try and play a game while I try and sleep. That doesn't make sense.
Especially on a TV. Like, once again, you can make the argument for the Switch, the Wii U gamepad, or the Steam Deck as a portable you play in bed and hopefully do not wake up your significant other or partner or whatever.
I once fell asleep playing Breath of the Wild and dropped a Switch directly onto my face. That's value.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good wake-up alarm.
For exactly 30 seconds after you fall asleep.
It's called a power nap.
Yeah, it's a power nap, Bob. You're supposed to do a shot of Red Bull and then lie down in bed and try to fall asleep for 40 minutes and no longer. That's what a power nap is.
That is actually recommended by experts. Like, no, the best time to take, and this is serious, this is a real thing. They say the best time to drink coffee is right before you take a nap.
Yeah. Huh.
Oh yeah. If there's an expert in this group on incredible, crazed sleep ideas, it's me. That was not a joke I was making. I was just touching into a horrible arc of like humanity. Some terrible touchstone of like, you really want to min-max your day.
I believe the science behind it is that caffeine does not actually make you more alert. It blocks the receptors for the chemical in your brain that makes you sleepy. So you drink caffeine and then you take a nap, which clears some of that chemical out, and it can't come back because of the caffeine.
If I recall, it takes your body a little bit to metabolize caffeine. The reason why after drinking coffee, you have to use the restroom, by and large, people have to use the restroom within a relatively short period of time compared to like how long allegedly caffeine takes to metabolize, is it's like an enzymatic thing. It's almost like based on smell and other reactions. It's not actually the caffeine that does that, which is really strange. Anyway, video games. Should we buy a Series S? We're going to go to Bob. Bob?
So it's $300 normally? Is that right?
Well, allegedly, but it's on sale constantly.
Okay.
But it is $50 off, so it's $250. And then on top of that, a $50 gift card, so that way it's only $200. And this is so that way nobody can say, but you've never seen it. It's great, actually. That way we can see and quantify and understand at a visceral level exactly what it's like, what that experience is.
It's tempting.
Now, the number one problem, I think, the number one problem, I think, is that it has shit for storage.
Oh, right. It's also got a small hard drive. What's wrong with them?
They cut quarters. I don't know what to tell you.
They cut corners and still lose $200 per unit.
Yeah. what was it? Digital Foundry has brought up yet again on DF Weekly the fact that like the largest problem with the Series S isn't the GPU power being worse or anything else. It's devs are saying it's the memory bandwidth, so they cut too much back on that regard to put cheaper RAM in and less RAM. But once again, like, how would we? You can't hear words and determine an absolute truth from that. You have to live every experience in order to judge it at all. Aggro, what are your thoughts?
No. Like, no. If you buy a Series S because those people say that shit, they win. They have already won. You'll be like, aha, I told you, and you turn around and they're gone.
That's true. It's like they were never real.
Okay, things seem a little complicated. Maybe Chris, should we or should we not? Is that
no? Of course you shouldn't. What? And then you're gonna spend $60 on whatever digital game to make it look fucking to run the potato version?
You should buy a game on Xbox. They have Game Pass.
We can go buy some Doritos.
Right. We buy some Doritos. We get it for a month, and then Bob plays Starfield or something, and then we shut it down.
Look, it's a Bethesda RPG. It's already gonna feel bad on console. You don't have to make it worse.
But now there are only 2 consoles they have to design it for, so maybe.
No, that's never stopped them.
No, it hasn't. Well, it sounds like no's the answer, I guess. I guess we should move on to what we've been playing. This was shot down very hastily by everyone. Well, okay, I guess I'll change what we've been playing. Hey, Bob.
Hey, what's up?
What have you been playing?
Other than Sonic Frontiers, I played a good chunk of God of War Ragnarok.
Oh, okay.
I have also played a lot of that.
Yeah, I don't want to say too much about it because, you know, it's a big game. We can talk about it being an insanely big game.
I looked up the how long to beat,
and
it said if you're just doing the story, it's like 20 hours.
Okay.
I'm 30 hours in.
I don't believe that.
Yeah.
I'm playing on hard mode, but I am also like 17 hours in or something. And it doesn't feel like there's an end in sight.
It's hard to tell.
I am about 17 hours in, and I'm like, I don't know. I feel lost. At what point of the 3-act structure am I at?
Yeah, they don't give you a you are here in the story thing.
Which I always appreciate not having one of those.
But normally your character has like an overarching goal, like Devil May Cry 5. It's like fix the tree problem.
Right.
In God of War Ragnarok, it's so abstract what your goal is. It's like, what is it? What am I trying to do, and how close am I to it?
I think Bob's saying the fact that he doesn't feel like there's an end in sight in a game called Ragnarok makes this a deeply ironic experience.
No, that's the worst part, because you don't know if they're going to pull that trigger. Like, either way is, of course they did it this way. Like
with any of these God of War games. At any moment, an important character could show up and something happen, and that would be the trigger to the end of the game.
Right. But
you had no idea.
But allegedly, they didn't want to do 3 parts for this.
Right. Which is so relieving. I can play this without thinking about that potential for a cutoff.
Let me, parallel here, okay? Bob and I are watching Total Recall on 4K Blu-ray.
Good movie. Great movie. Amazing movie.
Which one?
What did you think?
The fucking...
I didn't even think of that, Agger, because I forgot that existed.
Yeah. Now, the sad thing is he'll be valid when he says that in 3 weeks when I say Bob and I have been watching Total Recall, and it's a different one. And I had this moment watching the behind the scenes, and this was all about the company that funded and produced Total Recall, specifically Carol Co. Or Corelco, as everyone kept saying it, even though it's not an E. And they're like, and then Carolco made this movie, and then they made this movie. And some of these are coming out of nothingness. Like, I've never once heard a person say this name. It's like, what do you mean it's Robert Downey Jr. teamed up with this other guy what this movie, I've never even heard it referenced at all once, ever in my entire life. But as I sat here and they kept rolling movie after movie out, I went, man, you know how good it feels to just watch a mid as fuck movies from like the 90s or 80s? And it's just, it ends unlike any streaming show. It just feels good because it's like, ooh, we're going to just sit here for like 80 minutes and maybe it was good and maybe it wasn't. And it's okay because it's over now.
Right. It feels like a completed story. How does that happen?
Every streaming show basically feels like they spend the whole time pitching you on, hey, you should watch this. And I'm like, I am.
Yeah, they're like bad open world games. They don't end when they're over. They end when you're bored.
Again, like every streaming service director, every streaming show director needs to have the quote from The Boys director tattooed onto their fucking forehead where it's like, you're not making a fucking 8-hour movie. You're making a TV show.
Right. But
you can't sit here going, well, we only really have to be good and exciting for like the climax at the very end. It's like, no, you're not. No, you don't.
Total Recall is definitely worth a watch if you haven't seen it, audience. Check it out, maybe. There's really good moments where you go, oh, here you go, The Matrix. Here you go, this. Here you go, that.
Yes.
It's pretty good.
It also has Nightmare Fuel.
It opens on Nightmare Fuel.
It does.
And then it has even more Nightmare Fuel. It's pretty good in that regard. If you need Nightmare Fuel, it's got you covered. Hell, we couldn't even have this conversation without a member of chat just being like, you're giving me nightmares.
Of course.
But yeah, so I don't know. It's hearing that they're not going to do, Ragnarok and then another one seemingly tying into the story feels pretty good in that regard because we have enough of that in the modern environment from all sorts of media of like, but next time it's going to be real. So is you get good? How do we I have not played it at all. Mm-hmm. I know nothing about this game because, man, this many years into my life, I have mastered the craft of not paying attention to anyone saying anything about a thing I'm interested in.
Right.
Mm-hmm. It's the same mechanism that allows me to not engage with Donkey. There's that word. I'm just going to zone the fuck out. Okay, we're good? All right.
Yeah, that's how I avoided being spoiled on Danganronpa for a decade before I played it.
Yeah,
I'm going to play that someday for my eyes to unfocus because I see someone talking about it. my eyes do the fucking lizard thing and swirl in different directions.
Yep, you just start looking at the wallpaper. You're like, oh, this is a pretty nice house I'm in. It's your own house. But yeah, how's that treating you? How is it? Is it good?
With the game itself,
Ragnarok. Yeah, you're a huge chunk into that.
Yeah, I'm. Last week, I was not far enough into the game to really say anything about it. Mm-hmm. This week, I am too far into the game to say anything about it.
Oh, jeez.
I can say things about the purely abstract combat.
Oh?
So the first God of War had this fucking problem where they didn't have that many enemies.
Yeah, there aren't a ton.
And they only really had like 2 story bosses and then 2 bosses you fought over and 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 over.
Yeah, the big killer man.
Mm-hmm.
In this game, they have like a completely unique boss every 2 hours, maybe less than that.
Oh, that's awesome.
They also have lots more enemies that do lots more different things.
Mm-hmm. They're clearly differentiated visually and with sound from a distance, so you look it and you know what everything is and what it does.
You also start basically with every move you had at the end of the first game.
Yeah, it feels a lot like that Doom 2016 to Doom Eternal. Like just that big a leap in how much different things are happening.
Yeah.
And a little bit different to the pace of the combat too. Like there's a lot more area to move around in the combat areas and ways to move around the combat areas. Like they now have hooks in the middle of in the ceiling or easy ways to get up to places. Like you just show your Chaos Blades into a wall and he grapples right up the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember Aggro, one of the first things he asked me about this game was he was like, hey, in God of War 2018, when you did this, did the enemies do this? And I'm like, you couldn't do that as far as I remember in God of War 2018. He's like, All right.
One of the only changes I'm not sure I like. The heavy axe attack in the first game. It's just a big old chop right down, and then he like tears it through.
Yeah, it feels good.
It feels really good. In this game, it's been replaced with like a side chop, which doesn't feel as good, but it gets stuck in the enemy and like throws it at another enemy, so it's technically more useful.
Oh, that thing, yeah.
Also, it's really funny because it's like, I don't feel like fighting you. Off the cliff you go.
Yes,
that was the thing.
I was like, so I discovered a thing where if you can kick anything off of a cliff, it dies. Was that a thing in the first one? Aggro, you couldn't kick shit off cliffs in the first one.
I don't think you could really remove anyone across an elevation and watch them plummet.
I keep trying to compare it to stuff from Combat in 1, and then I remember that I really did not engage with the Combat in 1. I played one like a third-person shooter with the Leviathan axe. And I just, something about it didn't click with me, and I couldn't figure out how it wanted me to play it. And eventually I'm in the middle of Alfheim, and I just kicked the difficulty down to easy so I didn't have to deal with it anymore.
Understandable.
I kind of want to go back and try it, but I don't know if it's going back from this to that is going to be...
Oh, no,
smooth.
I couldn't.
It might be illuminating.
Because I remember, like, here's a shield. Don't fucking use it. Shield in this game's awesome.
Oh, that's good.
Oh yeah, they added the if you parry the block just right, your shield glows, and then you can like hit them with the shield, and it does like bonus damage and stuff. I'm like, that's new.
There's even
Is that new? I remember there being a timing based block that caused a spark.
Yeah, you got the do the parry, but you didn't get that extra. You can then punch them with the shield, and it does more damage.
Okay, cool.
There's different shields that do different things with that energy you soak up.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Like there are red attacks you have to dodge, and there are yellow attacks that you should dodge unless you have the big shield, and then you can just tank them.
Ooh.
Or you can parry them with a small shield.
There's a big shield that lets you do shit with red attacks?
No, yellow attacks.
Oh, yellow attacks. Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
No, that's cool.
It is. It's real nice.
The improvements aren't just with the combat. Like, a lot of parts of the first one that annoyed me are not here. Like, you're not climbing nearly as much in this game.
No,
Not a lot of climbing talk. No.
a lot of times, just like in the combat, they just show your Chaos Blade, and you're up there immediately.
Yeah, there's like people are like, oh, this clearly is still a PS4 game. There's squeeze throughs and stuff. And it's like, there's so many fewer than in the first game. Like, there's so much obviously less. This is to hide us trying to get shit ready.
A lot of the squeeze through really just seem like they're marking off where the areas are. I mean, yeah, sure, there's probably loading taking place during it, but it's just because it's so weird how this game is structured, because it's this big sprawling kind of open thing that has levels. It's just the levels are always there. Like imagine if Super Mario World 1 had all of those levels just side by side in a world, and you go through them in order, that the game tells you to, but everything's just there.
Cool.
It also this was a thing that bothered me a lot in the first game, where it dumped you in that big huge hub, which was the lake, which was the main hub of the game. This game doesn't have a main hub, but it has lots of smaller hubs.
It'll literally tell you, like, hey, we can go do the real thing, or you can fuck around here for a while. Whatever.
I'm like, well, I did want to find out.
But in the first game, a thing that happened a lot and would bother me is like, sorry, your light level isn't enough for these enemies, so all their attacks are unblockable and unparryable.
Oh,
God, I forgot about that. Maybe we didn't even run into it because we just did the story.
Yeah, but because that happened to me a lot, because I'd be like, okay, I want to eat all the eggs, so I'm gonna go all around the lake as much as they'll let me go around the lake. But it's like, oh, these guys are like 4 levels above me. I can't do shit to them.
God, I forgot about that. That's why I just didn't do any of the optional shit, like any of the realm tears, any of the extra stuff. Which I have been eating every grain of rice in this game.
I have been doing that too, and I have not run up on any situation where it's like, no, this is too high a level for you. Come back later.
And even if you're eating shit on the PS5, you reload from death so fucking fast.
It's true.
Just run right back at that berserker fight.
I was disappointed they didn't do the Miles Morales thing of get rid of all the boot logos when you reboot the game.
Oh yeah,
yeah, they don't.
Are you
do
sure
that.
you didn't update in between?
I've booted it multiple times now,
Okay.
so I'm pretty certain.
Okay. I was going to say, yeah, anytime they update it, apparently they have to do that again just because of the way updates work. So, okay.
We had that discussion with Gotham Knights about how we hate like status effects in games, and I realized no, it's only in bad games.
Yeah, when they get it wrong, they really get it wrong.
Yes.
Also, I won't say what they are, but Ragnarok has some unique status effects that are fucking cool.
Yeah. I will tell you, I don't know if you guys or where I got it or how long I've had it. You get stuff, different rondels. I don't know what they're called. I think they're just called rons that you can put on your shield. It's just, like you get the pommels for your axe and your chaos blades.
I have no idea when that showed up in the menu, but it did, and I was like, have I had this for hours?
I picked it up at some point.
I've got a thing to put on my shield where if I have a status effect on me, I double tap L1 to do the shield slam, and it takes it off of me and puts it onto the enemy.
Oh my god, what?
It
That
fucking
sounds
rules.
really good.
Yes.
Good Lord. That's awesome. So I think, just to communicate this to the audience who's probably wondering, we will have some sort of format where we have an extended conversation about God of War Ragnarok eventually.
Right.
If this conversation ends and you're like, they didn't talk about blank, understand that we will eventually.
Maybe it might be in mid-February when we get through the game.
I
Because it's apparently 150 hours long.
I can't believe it was 180 hours long, you guys.
I'm gonna try so hard to finish it tonight.
Because Pokemon's coming out.
Pokemon's coming out. I'm so
Yeah,
mad.
I know.
Yeah. I've been throwing hours into this. I thought I'd feel more close to done.
This is fucking hilarious.
It doesn't feel like I'm anywhere near it.
I'm
Right?
like, this game it got so much spectacle and it's so well produced. How is it this long? How is there this much great content?
How do you have this much stamina?
How do you keep introducing brand new characters? What's happening? The
my
last game had like
Yeah,
8 people.
That's another thing that like this game has a lot more characters than the first game.
And even the ones from the first game, you're like, wow, this is like a cast of people that are interesting and I care about. Like, when the fuck did this happen?
Yeah, the first game was really good at setting them up, I think. And then that we have them plus more.
Like, you spend the entire first game not running into anybody.
Yeah.
They just keep talking about everybody from this pantheon you might meet one day.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to game 2, motherfucker.
Yeah, it really is this crazy, huge jump.
Yeah, I like. We saw this in trailers, so it's not a spoiler. But I like that you see a city at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you also
'cause-
travel to realms, unlike the last game where it was like, you do it twice.
And well, I mean, for the last game, it was even more special in that case because it's just like, it's broken. I can't go to that realm.
Yeah, it gives you a menu where all the realms are selectable, but none of them work.
It's like, you can go to these 3?
Yeah, there's also there's also much greater biome diversity than the first game.
Svartalfheim. Oh shit, I just realized I'm alone in this room. Huge Riven energy. The sand flats, the water, the color palette, everything. I was like, this is really starting to give me. And then I got on a fucking mine cart that took me to another section and was like, yep.
Okay, yeah.
Did it go through like pillars of stone or anything like that as a deep
No,
network?
you couldn't see anything while you were in the mine cart, just a little bit out the window.
Oh.
Serious
Wow.
Riven energy.
Oh my god. Yeah, I would not have thought of that because I actually have played a bit of Riven. So that's triggering some memories about being very lost.
That's awesome. Well, did anyone else have anything else they wanted to get out before we move on to the next game and pick up this conversation further into the future?
I'm good.
Okay, well then we'll transition to my game. It will definitely feel great in comparison. I played Valkyrie Elysium on Steam. It's an action game for people who don't know. It's a normal action game that doesn't have $900 million for the budget.
But it's still set in Ragnarok, I hear.
Yeah. That's my understanding.
This game must have cost so much money.
Oh yeah, there's that game.
I'm like, how did you make a mostly linear game that almost certainly has more money than Horizon Forbidden West?
You know, they should just do that more over at Sony. I feel like that's where the real money's at.
Yeah, this feels so much more engaging than the open world Horizon. Like, if you can spend only a not significant more amount of money and get this, good lord.
I mean, it's really interesting to just see this level of production for anything linear instead of being an open world game or mildly linear. Kind of like The Last of Us 2 was the last time we saw something that was mostly linear, and that game looks like some super game. Because they get to bake in the lighting and do all sorts of tricks that you can't in an open world.
This game actually reminded me a lot of Uncharted 4.
Oh, wow.
In different times. It was like,
cool.
Okay, yeah, it's sort of these dynamics working in similar ways where we change out certain things. Neat.
Cool. However, we're talking about Valkyrie Elysium.
Yeah.
I was sent a code by Square Enix. I have to say this every 50 seconds, otherwise I get tased. Valkyrie Elysium
game code provided by Square Enix.
Yeah, let me find the button. I actually still have that thing lying around.
Now
Game
it'll work.
Provided by Square Enix.
There we go. Anyway, I got the Steam version. I was very interested in checking this out for anyone in our audience who is curious. I was also interested because the PS5 version does not run perfectly, and it looks a little blurry. So I was like, what does this game look like on my future GPU? I run a 4090 for anyone who forgot that I did that with my life. It looks really sharp, like really, really sharp, to the point where you can no longer look at the PS5 version and be like, this looks good at all. So if you have a 4090, no, the game looks really neat. The problem is that even on the Steam version, even the PC version of this game has like hitches, and it doesn't seem like shader compilation a lot of the time. It seems like bad scripting in Unreal Engine, because a game event will prepare itself. Like, okay, you're going to enter this room and then something will happen. And that moment, as you're sort of approaching the thing that'll happen, like an enemy appearing or a group appearing, they don't appear yet, but the game goes, oh, I need to prepare that. It just kind of stops rendering frames for a little too long, and the frame cap is 60. So even though I'm running this future GPU that disgustingly doesn't even try to run this game at 4K, it still has hitches and stuff on PC. That's unfortunate. I hope maybe someday that someone will make a mod that'll help with this a bit, because I could see that happening. I could see that maybe, because it is Unreal Engine 4. Making mods for it should not be that infeasible.
Yeah, if it gets community popularity, like, I don't know if it'll have enough people actually playing this.
Yeah, it's not a fucking made. Sonic game.
Right.
That would be nice, because elsewise I enjoyed the entire experience. And now we go to the other end of the spectrum with other Dan. Hey guys, I played a game, Valkyrie Elysium, on my Steam Deck. You all know how much I love my Steam Deck.
Oh man,
that shit don't look like the same game at all.
It sure doesn't.
It really does not. On the Steam Deck, that game helped me illuminate some shortcomings of the Steam Deck I had never viscerally experienced firsthand before, where I boot the game on a full battery and it goes, hey, we can lock an even smooth 50 frames per second at 720p. I'm like, that's cool, sure, it's a portable, whatever. And it goes, and I will last 90 minutes. I go, what? I took this out because I might be waiting for Tosh to do stuff. We went like on a shopping trip, and I was like, I might have to wait while Tosh takes longer to shop for like Asian grocery store foods or things like that. And I was just, this is me experiencing the Steam Deck as God intended. And it just was like, dude, you need to lower this frame rate. I'm going to die any second now. And I'm like, oh my God.
The air conditioner was on. The car was playing your favorite music.
Yes. And I had my favorite portable that you could hear from outdoors. You could be on the outside of the car and hear the fan. God. This is a joke because, of course, I capped the frame rate because I started running out of battery fast. It said 90 minutes. Did not feel remotely close. I didn't realize on PC I'm using an NVMe M.2 SSD, right? It's kind of like the PS5. It doesn't have the cool built-in hardware decompression stuff of the PS5, but it's a fast SSD. Those load times don't exist on the PC. I went to Steam Deck and I had to, because I've spent so much time gaming on the PS5, come to terms with games need to load. And so I just watching it load, and I'm like, oh my god, it loads on PC at all.
Yeah, it has fairly long load times on PS5. Which is
so it might even be faster.
upsetting.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it barely takes any time to load on Steam. I don't know. I just assumed the PS5 version would be about that fast. Frankly.
I wish.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Steam on the Steam Deck, you get a new ability in a game, and it's like, hey, I'm going to play a video, show you how that works. This move you got, this ability you got, these menus you need to go through. Hey, you need to set this up. Let me show you where in the menus you go to do that. Problem, not one video worked. It's just a black box in the middle of the screen.
Steam Deck is such an amazing portable console.
100% compatibility.
Could you imagine if Valve said that? That would have been hilarious.
That would have. Jesus. They would be taken to court.
Yeah, they would have in record time. Yeah, it's not a great experience. And obviously, it's not going to look great compared to my 4090. There's no world where that was going to occur.
It's not even as big as your 4090.
No, it isn't. It's not even close. Not even close. You could stack 4 of them on top of each other, and then we could start talking. Yeah, it was a really weird experience. This was my first time trying to legitimately engage with a larger, meatier game that I had not played a lot of before to completion on my Steam Deck. This was the first time I attempted that, and I've just decided that it's not a great experience, and I never want to do that. That is not something I want. And I don't know why people want that, but all the more power to them.
I don't think anyone wants to play the bigger games on it. I think it really is. I play my indie 2D games on this, but maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. I didn't try one of the other games because I actually got 2 codes from Square Enix. I can update this thing for the 10 seconds I'm going to talk about this one because I'm really not ready to talk about it in any remotely comprehensive way. So I need to try Tactics Ogre Reborn on the Steam Deck because I need to know if, that's not an action game.
Right. I assume that would be fine other than looking at the visuals and being upset.
The pixels, yeah. Well, once again, that code is for the PC version, so maybe somebody can mod it and fix the sprites.
Yeah, possibly someone can
that hasn't happened to Grandia yet.
No, but Tactics Ogre is like 200 times more popular than Grandia.
I'm not sure that's true.
Grandia is not hugely popular.
Neither
Tactics
is
Ogre
Tactics
fans
Ogre.
Tactics Ogre fans are crazy, though.
I think both have the same amount of Psycho fans.
I've never run into like other crazed Grandia fans.
I mean, I'll be clear. I only know about Grandia from y'all, and I only know about Tactics Ogre because of Eric's. So
yeah,
I had.
I imagine since I don't think the Tactics Ogre sprites are actually a filter. I think they're sprites that they just fucked up.
Yeah,
yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's probably easier to replace.
You think the baked-in art is easier to replace than a filter? Because that would be the reverse of the case. Because a filter, you can reprogram, you can redesign, you can rip it out entirely and replace it. Baked-in art means you're going to have to regenerate every piece of art in the game and then
they can just replace
that
the sprite sheets.
Right. But that's still just, you're going to have to replace all these objects. You're going to have to replace every troop from every angle instead of just a filter. I don't know. I'm hoping that occurs. I need to spend more time with this game. It seems like they have done a great job with it outside of the visual aspects of the pixel smoothing and all of that.
Right.
It seems like they put so much effort and love into this version of it additionally that it just feels tragic in the grand scheme of things. But I'm going to throw more time into that sometime. Trademark. Soon.
Oh yeah, Base Escape did the soundtrack.
Yeah. Which makes sense.
Right. I just wasn't sure they would do it and get them back and have a re-recorded soundtrack. I thought they might just use something old.
Yeah. Well, it might be from the PSP version. I haven't played that version.
Oh, it might be.
Yeah. As for my experience with Tactics Ogre, I watched Retro Island Gaming play through the entire Super NES original. And then I also played Final Fantasy Tactics, which as I understand it, is superior to the SNES original version of this Tactics Ogre game, but maybe not as refined as the PSP version, which came out way later.
Right.
I'm really hoping that we get I mean, I think Final Fantasy Tactics was in that fucking NVIDIA leak.
Yes,
so this for
it
Final
was.
Fantasy Tactics should be showing up soon. I think all Tactics fans are like, PSP version would be great if it didn't have to load so much.
Yeah, no, the PSP version looks great.
Mhm.
The iPhone version would be great if it worked like with a normal controller and shit.
Right. Yeah, you could just give us the iPhone version with controller support, and most people would be pretty happy.
Let's see if they do that.
Yeah.
Or if they yet again smudge over all the pixels. At a certain point, it's like Square, I'd rather you just remake it in Unreal Engine like you did Crisis Core than ruin these 2D art assets.
Right.
Because that would give us something new to experience, and that would be really neat.
Yeah, I keep my fingers crossed for that HD 2D version of it, because that would be amazing.
That probably would
there's
be
so
the
many-
peak.
There's so many HD 2D version things I would want before Tactics, though. Like
I
people
already
just say,
got mine announced, Dragon Quest 3.
yeah, but people say like HD 2D Chrono Trigger.
I mean,
And I
that would be
start
great.
salivating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the only one I would want before Final Fantasy Tactics, but I'm a Final Fantasy Tactics sicko who doesn't want to see this smudged version.
Or even just HD 2D Final Fantasy 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many. They'll probably do so many of these just because it's like, we have the game already.
Right. And
We have
Square,
to voice act it and make new music and put it into this engine, but most of the work is still done.
Square's not like Capcom. Capcom goes and they make like, here's our old thing and it's available again.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just stop doing that for a long time. And then it comes back again. And they're like, here's Battle Network Collection. Okay, bye. Like the only time they've consistently released a thing of that type is Street Fighter. And then as an addition, when they ran out of Street Fighters, they did Darkstalkers. In things that are like the arcade collections they do. But you don't see them be like, here's our SNES game. We brought it back. It's repackaged. It's so good. I haven't seen my son Breath of Fire since the PS2. Please.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah.
That's not true. There was a Breath of Fire game on PS2, and there was that mobile thing that they called Breath of Fire 6.
They sure did, and they should be tried for that crime.
And I think the thing about Breath of Fire 6 that gets me the most is the protagonist has red hair.
How dare they?
That sounds so ridiculous, but it's like,
It's not. No.
I know it's not. It sounds ridiculous, but it's like, no, you fucked. It would be like if Nintendo farmed Mario out to somebody, and they're like, and they reversed the color of his overalls versus his shirt.
Right. Yeah. He's got red suspenders and a blue shirt. Yeah. Anyway. That's it for the Square Enix talk for me. Hey, Bob, did you play anything else?
I played trying to install the 1080 Ti.
For people who don't know,
Did you
that was
win?
my former graphics card. We replaced mine with the 4090, and we were like, Bob, you can just use this. And he's like, oh, that's great. Was it great, Bob?
It was not great.
Or what happened?
All right, so I get my PC open. I realize it won't even fit in my case. First off. But my case, fortunately, has parts I can take out, brackets I can remove that hold hard drives. So I have to move everything around my whole case to move hard drives to different places.
Turns out my body has bones that are like holding my organs. I can just remove those.
So I got all that redesigned and reworked. That took like an hour or so.
Uh-huh.
I get the card in. I'm like, oh, this is going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. I boot it up, and it starts revving the fans on just the GPU to max for no reason.
Yeah, it would be perfectly fine for a bit. Mm-hmm. And then out of nowhere, it would go, ah! And I'm like, Bob, it didn't do that once in my system. What is going on over there?
I don't know. And I've had this problem before with my previous GPU.
Uh-huh.
But I just cleaned it out, and it was fine. Because I guess it was actually just overheating.
Hmm.
But this is just, it registers 50 degrees Celsius, and then it just maxes out the fans, and just like, I'm just going to do this forever.
So is your case just like a dust cloud, or like what is?
I fully cleaned it out just less than 2 months ago. And when I opened it up to look at this, it looked fine still.
Hmm.
So I don't know.
You got the dust traps? Because your case has those
I got
plastic.
those. I got those a few months ago. I got dust straps out and whatnot.
But you cleaned those,
But
right?
I cleaned those.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
And they're not just fully clogged again.
I don't think they're fully clogged again. I didn't double check those. I could.
Yeah, I have no idea. Something is not going right over there.
Right.
Because you didn't you bought that. I'm trying to remember how you got that case.
This case I bought was the last motherboard I bought.
Okay, but so you bought it a la carte. It was not a
Yes.
part of a pre-made.
Right. It was not a part of pre-made.
Okay.
I didn't fall into an iBuyPower thing again or anything. But I have been looking up case reviews to maybe replace the case to see if that helps. But at the same time, I'm like, that's a ton of work. So I might. And also cases, unlike a lot of things go on sale around this time of year, all of them are above MSRP right now.
Oh,
So
that's weird.
I might just wait out until they come back down to MSRP.
assuming that occurs.
Assuming that occurs, yes.
I mean, we're in an inflation economy. I don't know if they're coming back down or they keep going up. I don't know.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, Bob,
Yeah.
a good case will last you for fucking ever.
Yeah, for sure.
So, at least there's that.
At least there is that.
What?
Kind of a weird thing to say when he's shopping for a new case.
I'm just saying, like, you bite the bullet on the inflation once, assuming that it gets worse from here, and you get to sort of like deal with that, like more meaningfully, like just be like, well, this is going to last me for 10 years at least, easily. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
most computer parts, no, absolutely fucking not.
Just make sure it'll fit that 4090.
Yeah, just make fucking sure, dumbass. The funny thing is the 1080 Ti is not, in my opinion, a huge GPU. Like, it's kind of big.
It is very huge compared to my GPU.
Well, that's fair. You're using a 1060.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Like, it never occurred to me as an absolutely massive beast of a GPU. It was kind of, I guess, on the full spectrum, it was on the right half on the size
I remember
slider.
it being chunky when it came out.
Yeah. I don't know. Once again, I've been rocking this gigantic case for so long.
Uh-huh. And I didn't exactly buy my case, like, was doing full research and everything. It was kind of just, it's in the price range and it looks nice.
Yeah.
And it's from a brand I trusted, which I believe was Cooler Master.
He
Like,
believes. I trust this. It might have been a thing I know.
when I was ordering, I knew for sure.
Yeah. Oh,
But
no, I get
don't-
it.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah, no, I got Cooler Master for mine, and frankly, I've been really jealous of the Meshify stuff
Yeah.
for years.
Looking at those Meshify 2 and things made by, what is it, Fractal Design.
Yeah, Fractal Design.
Those look pretty nice.
Mm-hmm. It was really weird hearing the Gamers Nexus case review videos coming out of his side of this living room. I'm like, why is Steve on the wrong side of the... What's going on? Did you make sure to say thanks, Steve, when he told you something important? This is my favorite meme on that channel.
What?
There's an important person at Intel called Steve. So they did a whole like E3 panel event thing where every time a transition ended, a different Intel employee would go, thanks, Steve. And since the host of Gamers Nexus is named Steve, they have been writing that out for months now. It has been so good. Back to you, Steve. Anyway. So you're just going to wait?
Probably I'll keep an eye on these prices and see what happens, because I don't really want to spend $160 for a case, but I might.
Yeah. Yeah. Understandable.
And a lot of the cooler cases that have better airflow are like, there's room for, what is it, 2 SSDs and 1 hard drive. And it was like, that's not enough room, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's really weird. That part's weird.
Yeah, I'm like, I know that a ton of them have been moved, which I'm not familiar with modern case design. I didn't know that almost all hard drive and SSDs got moved to the back panel, like the back side of the PC.
Yeah, they don't.
Which is crazy to me.
It makes perfect sense
It does.
because of the airflow.
But I'm used to that being the side you never have to open because it's just there. It's like, no, don't do that.
But that kind of makes it, in a sense, if it's mounted well and accessibly, that makes it the easier side. In fact, my case is like that technically, because the front bays are turned that way for the hard drive section. Yeah, my disk drive section, the top few are turned towards the front, but then all the rest of them, hard drives in the bottom like 6 bays, all turned to that wall, which Makes sense. It makes it easier to access than like digging in and disconnecting it from a bay. In fact, it's easier to mess with that than it is my SSD bay, which is in the middle. It's in the middle of the main area of this case.
Right.
But yeah. So you're just gonna wait. Okay.
And the other thing I'm going to be having to, because during this whole process, I found out Windows just keeps eating more and more space.
Yeah, it's an operating system.
So I have 2 small hard drive partition for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I ordered a new SSD to reinstall Windows onto that. So I'm going to have to reinstall Windows. I'm going to see if that makes the GPU not ramp up like crazy. Because there could be a problem with all of the Windows install. I don't know. Anything could go wrong.
Yeah.
But I found out it was taking up too much space because when I tried to install the drivers for the new video card, it was literally like, I can't install. There's an error. I won't tell you what's wrong. I will not tell you what's wrong. In no
it ended
world.
up being that the C drive had no space.
Yes, the C drive had filled itself with Windows updates.
Just to be clear, and I'm sure you probably are aware of this by now, it hasn't made sense to have 2 partitions for an OS drive in a very long time because of how Windows 10 and I don't think Windows 7, but Windows 10 and newer deal with installations. You cannot just simply format that one partition
Oh no.
and reinstall. Like they're so sensitive and finicky that it's not that simple. Yeah.
So I probably shouldn't have ordered as large a hard or an SSD as I did. I should probably return that and be like, give me a 1 terabyte.
I mean,
It will just be Windows.
Oh, did you order a 2 terabyte?
Yes.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, you probably should have. Did you play anything else, Bob?
No, that's it.
Okay. I feel like I played something else. I played more Harvest Tale. Not going to talk about it this week. Aggro, what you been? Right. We covered that. Hey, Chris, what you been playing?
The same things that we already talked about, and Sonic Lost World.
I was like, Lost World? You mean Frontier? Oh, wait, no, he means Lost World.
So a lot of times on this podcast within the past month, while discussing Sonic, I made jokes that were to the effect of there was like 15 years where Sonic games were just the same shit over and over, except Lost World, which is the same shit from Mario. That was wrong. It also is the same shit from Sonic over and over because they will just plop it into levels that make no sense. Like this level has you're running on a nut and making it go up a bolt thing from Metropolis Zone in Sonic 2. No reason. It's just in there.
It is Sonic. It's a classic Sonic iconography.
Have you ever had played a game that had a lot of cutscenes and you're like, stop that? and not in the sense of Metal Gear Solid 4 where they're like unending and pummeling you,
but yeah,
more in the sense of every single time there's a cutscene, I hate you.
I mean, that's kind of like our prerogative on this channel. We check out a bunch of games that make us feel like that.
It's hard to like here's every fucking cutscene in Sonic Lost World. One of the Deadly Six, again, the worst additions to any franchise perhaps ever on a character front. Whichever one of them is currently being focused on shows up. They say something related to their one-note Saturday morning cartoon personality. Like, one is girl, so she talks about her nails.
Mm-hmm.
And when her boss fight starts, she says, "No flowers?"
Mm-hmm.
Or there's the one who is fat.
Mm-hmm.
Or there is the one who has depression.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and there is the one that is an elderly Asian stereotype.
Okay, you finally named one I don't know.
You gotta have that.
Yeah, there's a tiny little blue one who has like the staff with the big knot on the end, and he talks about lessons and has like a really big Fu Manchu-esque mustache.
What is the name of these guys again? The Hateful Eight?
So they show up and say something related to their terrible stereotype, and then Sonic says a slur. And that's every cutscene.
Cool. Seriously, what is the name of this group again? Something Six?
The Deadly
Six. Okay.
Six.
Okay. One moment.
And Zavok, the leader, is Bowser.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's pretty Bowser core.
I mean,
That checks out.
Dan, I mean, when you beat him in his 2D boss fight, he gets gigantic and you have to run from him exactly like New Super Mario Brothers.
What?
Yeah.
That's just confusing. And of course, this game has 2D boss fights. Why wouldn't it? Jesus.
Oh, most of the majority of this game is in 2D.
Sonic Team needs all rights to making 2D gameplay revoked from them. That's the only way to make them learn.
I'm pretty sure pound for pound, minute for minute, there is much more 2D stuff than 3D.
I'm losing it looking at this image of this was the one guy in the Deadly Six I did not know existed.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
6. Oh, that's the only one I remember.
I'm really curious to see the original concepts of these characters, because originally they were supposed to be Oni,
Okay.
and at some point they got changed into weird aliens. I presume at the request of like Sega of America, because this came out in like the peak of like, no, Sega of America is running the Sonic franchise right now, because this was like in development right before Boom.
Oh, I was going to say, how did this start development during Sonic 2?
I mean, Zavik still has horns. Do the rest of them have horns?
They all have horns. All of them have horns somewhere.
Okay, so I bet that...
But I there must have been some part where they looked more like Sonic characters and also maybe had personalities that weren't borderline offensive.
I don't know about that. It feels like all these designs are designed specifically around being offensive.
This game controls may be worse than any other Sonic game.
Mm-hmm.
Have you,
That's a high bar.
It is.
have you ever, like, this, it was on the Wii U, so technically it's a 7th gen game.
Oh, yeah, it absolutely is. Fuck anyone who wants to say the Wii U is not a 7th gen console. It just showed up late.
This is more of a 7th gen game than I think any of the other 7th gen Sonic games are, because it has that feeling that you get in the back half of a 7th gen game where it's like, it's time to be difficult, where the game is now fighting you actively.
Oh, God.
When a game is challenging, the game's actually working with you, like it's giving you the tools to solve these problems and you get to have fun by overcoming something.
Mm-hmm.
This is like running now feels bad. It feels like the game has put weighted clothing onto you. That's how Sonic Lost World feels.
I trust you. We need to establish this. I trust you wholeheartedly. But I can't look at what that game looks like and go, that has to be one of the worst Sonic games of the last 10 years. Like, it feels weird.
And yet it is.
And I know, and you've been very consistent in saying that, and I still just don't believe it. So if you ever see me stream Lost World and I look unhappy, know that I lost all hope in that cave. Because I still just want to go, I'm going to play that someday. I'm going to have a good time. This is going to be neat. This is going to have, like, Mario stuff in it. It looks cool. It runs well. Look at all these things that I'm checking these boxes. It seems pretty cool in here. I don't know.
I think every mechanic it has is bad.
My God.
Like, you have the homing attack,
Mm-hmm.
but you also have a kick that you do instead of the homing attack.
That's true, yeah.
And a lot of enemies will pound your dick if you do the wrong one. Including bosses. Which are largely jokes, but then sometimes it's just like, what do you want me to do? There's multiple parts of this game where I'm like, how did you ship this? This just doesn't work. There's a minecart level that is like 10 minutes long and is try to do this fucking it's a minecart, but you're grinding on the rails. But there's other minecarts, and if you touch any of them, you die instantly.
Okay.
It's like we made a terrible Donkey Kong Country level. Also, this segment maybe has the worst physics of anything in a Sonic game.
That's impressive. I don't know.
Yeah, that's such a high bar. Holy shit.
It's so difficult. It's so like, I think maybe the 2D, the classic Sonic stuff in Forces is worse than the 2D stuff here. But the 3D stuff in this is definitely worse than the 3D stuff in Forces. So it's this weird nightmare.
This feels like here's what this feels like, okay? It feels like I was like, yeah, I had to stop watching Dragon Ball GT because that terrible character that's a pedo showed up, and then Chris is like, oh, it gets worse. I'm like, how? He was a pedo, and there's like, well, there's the pedo that says a slur directly into the camera. Like, that's how this feels, where I'm just like, no, that was the bottom. And Chris this whole time's just like, no. No. And it gets way worse than Forces. People
Like
in
the
chat don't
Forces
know about Daltaki. Anyway.
The Forces versus Lost World thing it's so hard to say which is worse.
Yeah.
Because Forces at least felt like them going, we should at least try to make a Sonic game, like in the sense that there should be characters that look like they're from a Sonic game, and we should at least try to lean into anything anybody likes about Sonic. They failed in every regard. It's all bad, but at least the intent, at least they started with the right intent.
Look, when I look at Forces and Lost World, and I sit there and go, I sit there and think, Lost World has a Borg version of Tails. Forces doesn't have a Borg version of Tails. Ergo, Lost World must be a better game. That simply must be the case.
Oh, God.
I'm so sorry you played through. Did you beat it?
Oh, yeah, I beat it. That game's not very long. That game's like 4
Wow.
hours long.
Wow.
I always assumed it was longer than the others.
Oh no! Every
Short.
Sonic game,
No,
every Sonic game between Unleashed and Frontiers is 2 to 4 hours long.
Yeah, they're all really short,
Damn.
which means they're good. Because if you had a bad experience that's shorter,
No, we can classify them as walking simulators, and therefore they're above criticism.
ooh,
Lost World doesn't even have it doesn't even have the fucking colossal crutch that Forces and Colors and Unleashed and Generations have. Well, Unleashed is a normal length game, but all the others have where it's like, we rank you at the end of the stage, so that means there's replay value. Our game doesn't have to be long.
mm-hmm.
This
That's
doesn't
how it
even
works,
have that.
right?
But it does have the red ring coin things, right?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
And if you get them all, you get to be a really terrible feeling version of Supersonic. Also, it has the exact same final boss's colors. Like, it looks different, but mechanically it's identical.
Oh, right. They also bring back those dumb aliens from Colors, don't they?
Wisps.
Wisps.
Yes, all of them are broken. None of them work right.
Then
Oh, cool.
I hope we never see a Wisp again.
Well,
So do I.
We're in Frontiers, so we can hope.
Right.
And were they even mentioned in Frontiers? I don't think
No.
they were.
I don't think
No,
so.
they mentioned fucking literally everything but wisps.
Even the Deadly Six.
I hate that
And then,
game so much.
That's fair.
And then Forces also has the same final boss's colors. It has identical mechanics to Colors. They did it three times.
So I just want to go out there and say, maybe don't get upset, Sonic fans, if anyone says the Sonic franchise has stagnated and been creatively bankrupt for a while now. Like, maybe understand.
I feel like when even Cybershell puts out his Sonic Frontiers video and is like, thank God it's not a boost game. Thank God it's not a boost game. Thank God it's not a boost
It
game.
was so much of the video, and I was like, mood. Absolutely. I get it. It's how it feels.
No, I know. I just my heart goes out to people who play Sonic games. I dropped off at and Knuckles, and I've just been riding that high. ever since.
Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 are fine.
That's what people keep telling
Sonic
me.
Adventure
but they're
2
saying, people keep telling me that waist deep in the tar pit. All right, like no, just go up to your ankles. It's fine.
No, Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 are actually fine.
They are, yeah. I genuinely, as time continues, I've only become slightly more kind to those because it's a bell curve, like an inverse one, where it's like then and now, and in the middle, I was like, actually, they didn't age that well. And then I saw more examples of how bad they could have been, and I became more generous over time. Where I'm just like, actually, no, they should just do another.
Sega made a different choice than Nintendo, where Nintendo made one of the best feeling games of all time that will age gracefully forever with Mario 64. Sega went more in a presentation direction, which was really cool then, but maybe did not age so great long term.
Yeah. No, that's
But that's still a lot better than every Sonic game in the past 15 years where they didn't try at all. There was negative levels of trying.
Yeah, it feels really weird to look back on everything since Unleashed and be like, did a witch cast a spell and said you can't try this hard ever again?
Like, did that one sell super bad or something because you put a giant werehog on the cover? Did that happen?
And it hasn't occurred to you that it had nothing to do with anything else in that game other than there was a giant werehog on the cover and it ran at 20 frames per second when you did
honestly
combat.
think, like, I don't know. I always think that Sega's problem has been they are too receptive to criticism. Because it's like, because that was the big thing. Oh, we only want to play as Sonic. I don't want to play as any other of these characters. People like you can go back to 2002 or 2001 when Sonic Adventure 2 Battle came out on the GameCube and see Penny Arcade comics where they bitch about that. Where it's like, I only want to play as Sonic.
Yeah, no, it's true. Penny Arcade has said some head ass fucking things, and
so
coincidentally,
and
this is doing that.
And then there was 06, which blew up real bad and became a big to do. So they're like, well, okay, you'll only make you play as Sonic. It's like, we don't want these werehog levels. We only want Sonic. And it's like, well, now the games have to be 4 hours long, I guess. Okay.
We'll give you retro Sonic. You like that? It's like nobody liked that.
Hello, I like retro Sonic games. This is basically a slur to me. Stop putting this in fucking games. The physics don't feel good enough. Like, that's funny because, I'm not going to talk about it in detail here because we will talk at length about Sonic Frontiers elsewhere. I think one of the major down notes of Frontiers is when they have a 2D cyberspace level. Because the 3D ones I have fun with. I enjoy those.
There's some of them that I think that lean into, like, we're not trying to be classic Sonic. Here's some cool thing you can do with all your movement, which are better. But then there's a lot of ones that are just like, no, it's a bad feeling classic Sonic level. Sorry.
Right. Yeah.
I think the most pitiful thing in Sonic history, the absolute most pitiful thing, was the run up to the announcement of Sonic 4.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Where they had the whole fucking press thing, like, which of these characters will be playable in this game? It's like, only Sonic. That's how it should be.
Chris, we're good friends, but like, I've been engaging with Sonic heavily over the last week, and I've been blessed that no one brought up Sonic 4 until you just now. I was just like,
I have to bring it up because that press cycle was like the peak of, we don't know what the fuck we're doing or why anybody likes anything we make. For some reason, we only look at the things people who already hate us say.
Yeah, you said that thing about they're receptive to criticism, but it's from the worst people. Like, they take the worst ideas.
It's depending on how you interact with the internet. Sonic doesn't have a fan base. It just has an angry mob that buys its games.
People are pretty jazzed about Frontier. Mm-hmm. It's been good. It's been good to see so much positivity.
It's been so funny to see the flip like a light switch from people who defended the fucking Dark Age from Unleashed to this. Be like, no, I don't have to pretend anymore. All those games were trash.
It's been a moment, as somebody who didn't necessarily ever have a moment where they excused those games. It's been a moment seeing that happen. Yeah.
It's like it would be like if Bob had been all in on the DMC until DMC 5 was announced. He's like, no, that's not a real game, it's trash.
Jesus Christ.
At least that was only like, no, I guess that was still a decade.
Yeah.
My God.
I'm so glad 7th gen is over. That's all I played.
Okay, let's get to oh shit. That means it's time for
Oh no.
Ow! Wow!
Oh,
really
fuck.
loud pod lords. Really
Oh,
loud
fuck.
Really loud pod lords. Pod lords.
Oh, look, it's Pafadords.
Yes, that's right. Oh fuck! It's the pod lords. Pod lords such as E. Lee Broyles, Corey Brown, Bone Appleton, Red Blaze 27, Suzu Shiro, Emperor Zero, Shibuya Gato, Sonic Frontiers Review Adraco fucking loves Sonic. Oh fuck, it's the unsuspecting Tyrant double-decker beef fort. Yeah!
Fortify.
So powerful.
101 Shades of Wonderful remastered. WTF Spider-Man. The Pat Jormungandr haunts me still to this day.
Oh, they're...
No.
Speaking as an enormous fleshy thing with a patchy red beard, we shouldn't exist.
Yeah, if you put
more of it.
glasses on, it, it'd be the aggro Jormungandr.
Yeah, wow, that's one easy edit.
BN12. Unsuspecting double-decker beef fort.
Both sides. I feel so safe tucked between them.
DFW 3K. Me, when I find out episode 7 of Gundam Witch was delayed because of a golf game.
Fuck, is that why it's not out?
Oh, wow.
That's insane.
Were they playing golf instead of making it, or what?
I guess. Mew follows the Modern Warfare 2 school of conflict de-escalation. Welcome to the Mew war criminal arc. It's a good thing Mewtwo calmed down after that.
Press L Mew to de-escalate.
Mewtwo's like, I'm gonna start shit again, and then the drone just comes in behind him.
Oh no. Kristen. Mariah Carey whack. Padaroo's whack. Karnov is tight as fuck cause it's Karnovember, baby. Kyle Bjork. Iron Aggro. Blig de Blue. Schlig des Poo. Monster Hunter. Ryzen and Raiden. Florida Region Grass Starter. Mossum?
Fuck, that is dope. Sign me up.
Please. I'm begging you.
Awesome is so good.
We don't have a possum Pokemon, do we?
At the very least, we don't have one called Mossum.
Well, they tried to design one, but it turned out to be impossible.
Yeah, there's not. I can't believe there hasn't been one yet.
Cooper Tank. Picture of Bethesda's PR department defending Marty Stratton. Me staring at my backlog of games for 2022.
Just like me for real.
Aggro, make the double peace sign. I'm going to run to Game of the Year and come back 1 second. Fuck AAA games. Or I added games. I guess it could be AAA anything. Support indie devs.
Fuck this car rental place. Support indie devs.
Insane, but sure. Indigo Sykes. Drive Typecast. Good job on the Splatfest, Squirtle Squad. At least Fire didn't win. Florida region fire starter, methane.
Poison fire, I'm down.
Florida region water starter, Splatoon.
Oh, I'm picking Splatoon for sure.
Oh, that thing's got to smell awful. We just had a skunk one, and that's the one I think is going to smell bad.
It's wet.
So I assume based on Pokemon. Okay, so which one of these turns into the lady and which one turns into the Florida man?
Oh, the fire skunk is definitely the lady.
Really?
You think? Not the Florida man?
I was gonna say Splatoon becomes the lady.
Splatoon's going to evolve into a wife beater and a pack of Marlboro.
No, I think Mossum is the one who turns into Florida man.
Mossum is perfect forever. Don't you dare say anything bad about Mossum.
Mossum's third evolution, like it spawns the hat with a dubious flag on it and a shotgun.
Oh no! That's really terrible. This is the worst timeline. A pearl of lightning, a dream from the future, a drop of poison, a swan song, play Hyper Demon. Hyper Demon. Well, technically, the Super Mim. The Hard M's recycling old bits right now because he's very tired and it's only like 30% his fault.
God, no. How big is Rex's body? I'm worried.
It
He's
just
kind
keeps
of
going.
wiggly all the way down.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
He fills up the space.
Sarlene. Timothy Pfister is thankful for Chris plugging Mega May 18 years ago and for the GBPN's tremendous output. Happy Thanksgiving.
Oh god, I did do that. That was so long ago.
That was so long ago. I love that sprite of Wily. He looks like he has a double chin, like he's Elmer Fudd.
He looks close to Sigma with that big a chin.
True,
Looks
yeah.
like Gutsman is based on him.
He looks like if you turned his head upside down, it would look more like Sigma, I think.
Yeah.
Huh.
I really like the idea of he's like, oh, this is great. What'd you design Gutsman to look like? I made it to look like me. You don't. Okay, sure. All right. Bearded Joe. Pleochrome. Krunglespum. Noodle. Lord Richter is back from Hueco Mundo. Truly, Mexico is superior to Caria's plan. Became a podlord just to brag about my circuit boards going on Artemis 1 and into fucking space!
Fuck yeah.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Also, congratulations on supporting us long enough to jump leapfrog the actual last podlord. A Saints Row written by Randy Pitchford is now possible. God help us all. Thank you very much
Oh my god.
to our podlord.
It's like a huge breakdown.
Thank you, Pod Lord.
Thank you, Podlords.
Thank you, Lord.
Thank you, podlord.
Even that last one.
If you'd like to become a Podlord, you can go to our Patreon at patreon.com/gbpodcasts. For as little as $5 a month, you get access to many benefits, such as early access to Chugging Bleach and Pokemon Go to the Movies, our 2 monthly shows, where we review Bleach and the Pokemon movies. You also get extended versions of shows like Armchair Devs and Gamer Premonitions when we don't have enough time in the actual show to say all of those things. And you also get a Patreon exclusive show one a month where you get to vote on what good or bad movie we have to watch and talk about. That's patreon.com/gbpodcasts. And if you don't have any money, you can always help us immensely to rate us on Twitch, because we have to do this on Twitch now because YouTube fucked everything up for no reason. Hosting us on Twitch before they remove that feature because Twitch is also bad. And liking this video if you're watching it on YouTube after the fact, or if you're listening to this in your favorite podcast app, leave us a favorable review. That's patreon.com/gbpodcast.
Yes, thank you very much, podlords. We're now flying back into the big thing dimension. We got gamer news. Did you guys know we cover that?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Gamers have news?
That's something we do now.
oh my god.
Gamer news. God. Okay, I'm getting the worst one in my opinion, and this is exclusively my opinion. I do not speak for my co-hosts. Out of the way right now. So, hey guys.
Hey.
Phil Spencer went on a podcast and said something about being open to something about PlayStation and Call of Duty. I'm announcing right here, right now, that until there's something actual to report here, I'm done talking about Phil Spencer saying numerous conflicting statements on this.
Mm-hmm.
And then Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, came out right before Big Think and needed to just go, hey, just so you know, everyone, us acquiring Activision Blizzard is going to increase competition between publishers.
What?
Their logic is probably, we're fucking terrible and can't compete with Sony. If we get Activision, maybe we'll be able to do that.
You being able to compete more does not mean the marketplace as a whole is more competitive. Fuck off. I wrote this into my news as, so help me God, I'm trying to be a better man, but you are fucking testing me, Microsoft.
Yeah, it's like it's blatant at this point that Phil Spencer specifically has like some sort of pseudo Elon Musk-esque brain disease where he constantly needs to be in the news cycle.
Mm-hmm.
It works. He has an equal amount of crazed fanboys.
So just stop, unless it's actually something. No, I'm sorry. You're not getting on this fucking show, Phil.
Okay, so we're moving on. I just needed that get out of the way. Anyways, hey guys, they announced and launched. Well, they announced it a while ago. The RTX 4080. I'm going to talk about some things about this graphics card. Its performance is good. It's better than a 3090 Ti even in a lot of cases, but its price is terrible. I watched a lot of different reviews, and basically most of them, the better ones all did, came away with the idea of, hey, if you pay 30% more and you get 30% more performance, that's not progress. That's not, and that's what we're accustomed to in the tech space. By and large, all of them said PC space, but I'm like, no, that's technology. Right? If the PS5 came out and it costs 4 times as much as your PS4 for 4 times the performance, that wouldn't be progress. That would be an insane high tier edition. But ignoring that for a moment, the performance is actually really good on this thing. But it is way too much. It's like $1,200. There's way too much for something that is not the absolute top tier product. And in the weirdest thing they did, this is so bizarre. They used the exact same cooler and everything from the 4090. So despite being a really cut down device in comparison with way fewer cores, it's still fucking enormous and you can't fit it in anything. Reminder, my 4090 is the liquid cooled one. Because despite having this absolutely massive PC case, I cannot fit a normal 4090 in there. I can only barely fit it lengthwise. But then it would take up 3 PCI Express ports. They use the same one on that. So the thing doesn't even get that hot at all, ever. Remotely, because it is just using this insane, super high-end cooler that takes up way too much space. So it's insane. It's a bad situation. The hope is that enough people will not buy these new GPUs, or specifically the 4080. Because the thing is, people don't realize... Normally, the normal product line is supposed to have a good value. And then the top tier, the Halo product, is supposed to be a weird, insane scaling of money to performance that doesn't make sense. They did the reverse this time, and they're screwing all the normal people. Meanwhile, the people who got the Halo product got performance to justify the money at all. So the hope is, with the 4080 and the other lower tier ones, people don't buy the hell out of it, so that way eventually... they will lower the prices and make much more sane products. Also, there's that new AMD GPU. Hopefully the drivers on that are good and the performance is there, because they're not focused on ray tracing exclusively. They're just really orienting it towards normal raster performance in everything, but also it's better at ray tracing than the prior gen cards. Which, you know, is a worthwhile thing to point out, because on these new NVIDIA GPUs, you can literally watch the power draw kick up 20% or more in a ray tracing game compared to a completely frame capped normal video game. So that means a huge amount of that card's just not getting used at all unless you're doing ray tracing.
Yeah.
So when you spend your budget silicon wise on ray tracing in that way, that means, you know, for most of video gaming ever, you're not even utilizing that performance. As time goes on, I'm starting to think more and more AMD's approach is smart, instead of thinking it's a lack of them having tensor core technology or anything else like that. You know, I would like a PS6 instead of having bespoke ray tracing hardware to actually just have an insane amount of performance in general that also was fairly good at ray tracing.
Right, because you don't want to be shoehorned into, well, if we're not using this ray tracing, why are we even using this device?
Like you're leaving the money on the table, yeah.
Right.
I mean, we're never going to hit a point where every game should require ray tracing.
No, hopefully.
But it would be really cool if next gen it's just like 120's the new norm, bitches, unless you're ray tracing. Like, that would be cool. Instead, if we end up with bespoke hardware that just doesn't get used at all when you're not ray tracing,
right,
then you could end up in a case where it's like, this gen isn't any better at normal games, bitches. But of course, AMD is already heading down that road, so that looks good. Hopefully, the pricing on the 4000 totally screws in video. My news is done. We are moving on. Bob, go.
Marvin the Martian's being added to multiverses.
Really?
Yeah.
They announced this?
They announced this.
Where was the earth-shattering kaboom?
I don't know.
Where is the earth-shattering kaboom?
That was such good news banter, Dan.
Thanks,
It
aggro.
legitimately was. I'm proud of you.
Big fan of Marvin the Martian, by the way.
Yeah, he's great. He's probably one of my favorite Looney Tunes.
Oh, damn.
Like, I think his design's really cool.
The first time I read that he'd put this in the news segment, my brain immediately went to the Christopher Lloyd version of My Favorite Martian, and I was deeply confused for a moment.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
But now I seriously want that in multiverses.
My God.
He's
And then Martian Manhunter. All the Martians, they're all here.
God, they could do that.
It's
Jesus.
Martian March, baby.
He's going to be in season 2, but they haven't talked about when in season 2.
Okay.
Because just like with the last season, they'll just be like, oh, these guys are all coming. They will be free, and they will just show up at some point.
Man, that's pretty cool. Unlike Gundam Evolution, I had to explain the dynamic of Gundam Evolution to a friend who came in from out of town, where it's like, you can't play as all of them.
Yeah, I guess if they aren't free, but they're unlockable with currency, that's totally achievable.
That's feasible.
Yeah.
And that's the difference, because
Right.
Gundam Evolution is not very feasible to
No.
unlock all of them within a reasonable amount of time. I like multiverses as schemes. Like, it works out. It feels good at all.
Mm-hmm.
Even still, I eventually fell off of that. But that you know, you might see a direct line between me falling off of that and Overwatch 2 coming out.
Yes, and now it's just a bunch of new games. So it's like,
And then Overwatch 2 fell off.
yeah, I will probably go back to this game eventually.
Mhm.
Once
Yes.
this thing slow down.
100%. Yes.
The next thing I got, the Game Awards announced their nominees. Normally, I wouldn't even bring this up, but
Okay. Before you say a word more,
okay.
before he said this, I thought I was the ultimate level of jaded. Because I could tell something they said upset someone. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. The Game Awards can't get any stupider, in my opinion. I thought they had done every dipshit thing possible.
Yeah, that's why
up
I didn't
until-
look into it. What happened?
Bob, would you like to announce what rocked my fucking world?
Edgar, do you want to guess what was nominated for Best Fighting Game?
Was it Call of Duty?
It might as well have been.
Yeah.
They nominated...
Was it Gotham Knights?
It's basically as valid. They
Yes.
they nominated Sifu,
Yes, Sifu.
Yeah.
the martial arts action game,
Single player.
single player action game for a fighting game.
Hello, my name is the Game Awards, and it's my first day here in this country. I'm having a little trouble with certain idioms related to my industry.
Okay.
I note that this is a video game that has fighting in it.
That is correct. That is a video game that has fighting in it.
So what do you call that?
An action game.
I was fishing for beat 'em up, but that works too.
It's so silly to it's so silly to pretend that the Game Awards is anything but that. You ever seen that episode of Rick and Morty? Yes, I'm referencing Rick and Morty.
Geez.
Where Jerry gets access to like the whatever it generates things based on his thoughts.
Mhm.
No, it generates things based on his wife's thoughts. And he says something self-absorbed, so the machine just starts spitting out copies of Jerry that are all congratulating themselves. Like,
Yup.
at the best of times, that's all the Game Awards is, and an excuse to show off some. It's a press show, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So complaining about the nominations is really stupid. But they really clocked out at 4 this time.
Yes. They really did.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
God.
what should be in this category? Elden Ring, Horizon, and God of War. What about this category? Elden Ring, Horizon, and God of War. What about this category? You know it's got to be Elden Ring, Horizon, and God of War.
Dude, it is so bad because here's the worst part. This is the part where once you understand this, every fucking time they gut punch you, it will feel sickening. If from here on out, Jeff has made it so clear. He's like, guys, I don't make the nominees. It's based on people in the journalism industry and what they send in.
Oh my god. That's so sad.
That's damning.
They need some supervisor.
Yeah, we
You
need to.
wrote Ronald McDonald. I'm just gonna
Like I know that it's politicized and fucking corporatized. No, you're politicized with all its politics and corruption and shit in the movie industry.
Mm-hmm.
But I say we take a swing. We need an academy. We need somebody opening the letters, going no.
I hate to say that Jonathan Blow had a point.
Oh
Especially nowadays, considering all the questions he's asking about things.
He's just
but when he said no, game journalism is like if the Oscar nominees for Best Picture every year were 4 Transformers movies.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. No,
But-
that's
but-
fair.
Mhm.
These nominees were really like you know every story where Batman is like retired and busted, and you get that moment where he looks at the suit in the tube and it like the reflection overlays with his face, and you know he's going to put the suit back on again. Jeff Keighley did that with the Dorito Pope outfit this year.
I need to see that.
That would be really good. I would love that edit.
But yeah, I like the Game Awards just because they are a press show that we get to see lots of new trailers and stuff for the next year. If it didn't have awards connected to it, it would be better. It would be a better presentation.
It's like those reveals are the only reason it exists. Like nobody would watch it if they didn't exist.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like there's the capacity for this force to be a good positive force in the industry, but the problem is you maybe shouldn't take your input from a wide swath of game journalists if that's the intended goal, because you've basically asked. We had a poll determine what the most delicious meal in North America is, and it turns out it's a Happy Meal. Thank you, our committee of 10-year-olds all across America, for telling us what the tastiest food is. That's how it feels.
Yeah.
And this is the worst it's ever been about this.
Yeah. It's just us looking at a thing going like, wow, if only this thing in modern society functioned the way it should. Oh, well, back to living in 2022.
Yep. Let's move on.
Control 2 is announced.
That's cool.
Yeah, this is literally them being like, we got a deal signed with the publisher, which is 505 Games again. So this is super early in development, obviously.
Yeah.
They will be publishing it on...
They who?
505 will be publishing
Okay.
it on PS5 and Series consoles. But then Remedy themselves is going to publish the PC version.
They have exclusive rights to publish the version that runs well?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's quite the grab for Remedy. I believe they said the director of One's involved. They were not clear on how or how deeply.
Yeah.
They got a comment from them and sound like they just greenlit this fucking project.
Right? So this is like, here's a piece of concept art.
It's kind of cool and interesting to get a direct sequel to a Remedy game.
Yeah.
You don't get that all that often. It's like, what was it? The Alan Wake, what was it? What is the name of the DLC expansion?
American...
Is that American Nightmare?
Dream?
The American Dream?
Nightmare?
Hey, Chris, fuck is the name of the Alan Wake thing, the DLC?
American Nightmare. It's also
Okay.
not a DLC. It's a standalone experience.
Sorry.
I also think it has completely different visuals and gameplay from the original Alan Wake.
But that's like
Well,
the only
not
time.
completely different, but like notably different.
That is the only time since Max Payne 1 and 2 that we got a very immediately, very directly a follow-up to a Remedy game. Before anyone who goes, well, did you know Control? And I'm like, no, that's not.
That's not what we're talking about.
So this is cool.
Yeah.
This is interesting. That means 505 is a better force in expanding the game industry than certain other publishers that will go unnamed during the segment.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Control was my favorite Remedy game since Max Payne.
Mm-hmm.
But I did skip Alan Wake, so.
Also, he's a hater and he hates Iceman from the X-Men, so he can't stand Quantum Break.
That's not why I can't stand Quantum Break. It's all about the gameplay, honestly.
That is definitely why he can't stand Quantum Break. Shit, man, how can you even judge Quantum Break before you run it on a 4090?
Right?
That's
Obviously, that was the intended use case.
It is not the same video game. I played that on the Xbox One. That is not the same at all. I'm getting headshots easily. Anyways, I think this is cool. I'm excited.
Yeah, no, Control 2 should be exciting. Very
Smash cut to the future. Bob's like, it's not exciting.
Weird. What's happening?
Spoiler cast. Control 2 is not exciting.
And my last piece of news, Ikumi Nakamura, that's the one of the creators behind Ghostwire Tokyo that left before the game came out and came on E3 stage.
I mean,
but she's been involved in tons of things.
She was the director of Ghostwire.
She was the creative director, I believe.
Right.
Like,
and that's a level of like really high up status that needs to be underscored before, blew up as an online personality and then left.
Right.
Because Bethesda is great to work for. Plus, she got a lot more leverage, I bet, by being recognizable.
Mm-hmm.
So what's up with Ikumi?
She started a fundraising project on Volume, which is a book publishing thing, kind of like a Kickstarter, but for books, it seems like. Where she's making a book about urban exploration with pictures and a manga in it as well. Because apparently she's a big urban explorer and has been taking photos for like the past 10 plus years.
Okay.
And it looks pretty cool. I'd say go check it out. It's called Project Urb EX. Like URB.
Urbex, like urban exploration.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that looked pretty neat. It was interesting to see. And she goes all over the world. So it's got like, they said America, Taiwan, Japan, I think Brazil, like several other.
Sorry, you're a gamer saying Brazil. You have to say it exactly like the Street Fighter 2 stage select where it's like Brazil.
Okay.
It's authentic. But that looks cool.
Yeah.
Looks interesting. We're going to go to aggro. You got it?
I got a little bit. Larian Studios, the people who have been making Baldur's Gate 3 forever. Has said that it's on track to actually be out in 2023. We're getting like patch 9 before the end of the year. We're not sure what's in it yet. Patch 8 had bards, so
so it's early access.
It has been in early access since like 2020.
Wow.
They like put it out with 2 classes and they're like, play it for us so we can test it and finish it.
It's been this has been one of the funniest early access things because it's like, when are you going to put in this popular thing? And they say at the end, because if we put it in now, you wouldn't fucking test anything else.
That is so smart.
Yeah, it's
like
it's been a wild ride.
Why aren't any of the good the good aligned companions in yet? Because you motherfuckers won't pick the evil ones if the good ones are there. We got to test the evil ones.
They've been making a giant D&D game, and they've been slowly piecemealing it out a little at a time to make sure it all is stable and works together, and there's no, oh fuck, we have to rebuild the entire game because we didn't think of this one thing in our giant, complex, mega rule structure thing. I have been waiting so long to play this fucking game. It looks so awesome.
You know what's great? Just looking at this game and knowing I can run that on something that'll run it well. Because when it was first announced, I'm like, I have no idea. Not a fucking clue.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm actually really excited for this.
It's one of those games, like, graphically, it looks good, but what's really going to fuck your system is like, throw that barrel and it just has to check 800 million different things.
How does the barrel feel right now is something it's calculating, and you did not even know.
So I'm excited to finally play that fucking game.
Local man very excited to finally play fucking game.
Moving on. This one was just for me. I'm going to try really hard with this name because I've never seen it before.
Okay.
Sharon Tal Iguado.
Okay. Sure.
That's my swing.
That's what I'm seeing.
Who is described on the internet as a senior media executive.
Okay.
Which my brain just scans that as unfireable person.
Fair.
She was apparently like one of the bigger producers on the Rings of Power series. She did some stuff with The Walking Dead. She's one of those people who moves money into projects.
Right. Okay.
She has started a game studio with a bunch of money from NetEase and a few other people, like a big 7-figure money push from a bunch of different people.
Okay.
Called Astrid Entertainment. They say they've got a bunch of industry veterans who've worked on AAA things, and they're not telling us who. I went to the website. There's nothing on it except the name of the company. I only put this in news because I wanted to read her statement about the kind of projects they're going to pursue.
Okay.
Or are already pursuing. It's unclear. Astrid is building its first fantastical interactive world grounded in rich lore, environmental world building, and system design to encourage the emergence of multiplayer stories. Players will evolve worlds differently based on their actions and choices. They will get to explore the world, go on adventures, meet its fascinating characters, learn new skills, collect and share resources, all whilst building new bonds that grow and evolve over time.
Oh, no.
We're making a video game.
Wow.
That's all that fucking said.
This multiplayer. I think that's the only thing we really got confirmed.
This was some straight up perfect stream of consciousness executive speak. It's like, all right, I made this big ass TV show. Now I'm going to go make big ass video games. Give me a shit ton of money.
Hey, you, secretary, take this down.
Yeah. I mean, I think the possibility for something like this to work does exist. It's not being worked on by Microsoft, so that gives this sort of a project a buff. They're probably hiring people, not contracting them. That helps.
Maybe.
Maybe.
We, once again, literally know nothing.
Yeah, right?
Right? Shit, man, we know more about the fucking post Days Gone reunion game.
Oh my god.
Than this. And honestly, if I were to bet on one of the two coming out, I'd probably bet on that first.
No.
It's involving two leads who have shipped a game ever.
This says NetEase
This
on
might.
it.
We don't know who works there.
That's true. There could
Right.
be infinite leads.
It could be those two.
It could, in fact, then be them too. We don't know. I'm just saying, we don't have any track record at any level.
No, just the Days Gone things feels like a thing made to not ever release anything. Like explicitly for that.
It seems like a thing designed to pump funding out of fucking morons that'll probably get shifted heavily to become something else before it ships, broken and hollow.
And unlike that, this Astrid Entertainment company has endless potential. So
No, its powers could be maximum. We don't actually know.
Right?
I look forward to learning anything about this. Stay tuned.
Local man excited to learn anything about video game he just read press release for.
So Bandai Namco had an earnings call, which is apparently where we learn things these days because nobody knows how to put a fucking show together. Depending on what medium you're in, toy seller conventions don't really break news like they used to.
Yeah.
They're apparently planning to launch Tekken 8 in 2023 sometime after March.
Yes, my original guess is spot on. That we were way closer than I was afraid of. I was like, yeah, I bet this is a thing because, they showed it.
Right, they
And
actually showed gameplay.
Right, they showed it running, and obviously it's using Unreal again.
Mm-hmm.
There was the hope that it was like, oh, it's gonna be soon, isn't it? That's awesome.
Yeah.
God, next year's going to be really good for fighting games.
For games, Breath of the Wild 2 and that alone is enough for me to just be like, this was good. It was good soup. That and Street Fighter 6.
Mm-hmm.
Man, dude, the farther we get from 7th gen, the better things just
Isn't that weird?
continue to get.
It's almost like it was a blight on humanity.
Well, to be fair, Capcom tried to throw you off the trail with Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. And you're like, but this is 8th gen. And they're like, are you sure anymore?
Put on the soul-sucking ring.
Well, see, Disney was involved, and movies and TV are currently in their 7th gen phase.
They absolutely are.
Yeah.
Yup.
Good Lord. Well, that's it for Agro News. We now head to Chris for the news. Chris?
So Bethesda clapped back on Mick Gordon. It was basically them going nuh-uh and using sarcastic quotes in a fucking press statement.
Yeah, I liked how they said they'd release documentation that would disprove things he said, and they did not do that.
Some straight up like My Pillow guy shit. We can
honestly,
refute it if we have to in a very specific context.
Okay. Isn't that context like right now as you say this?
Absolutely not.
Oh, okay. Well, shit. I guess I'm clueless. God, that's insane.
It
Yeah,
honestly comes off like Marty Stratton wrote it.
It does.
All they had to do is take any of the countless points of data and rebut any of them.
Yeah, even one.
Even one would be enough to help build doubt. But they didn't.
They also, like, I'm going to be blunt. Trying to cry about Mick Gordon very specifically honing in on Marty Stratton and Bethesda leadership and saying, do not, like, I loved working with all the actual developers. They're a great team and you shouldn't hold this against that game. Taking that and saying, he started a harassment campaign against us, when part of Mick Gordon's thing is Marty Stratton's post sent so many fucking people after me because he blamed me for every single thing wrong with multiple projects.
Yep.
That's fucking disgusting, and whoever wrote that should be ashamed of themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, it's absolutely absurd.
Moving on, Sonic Frontiers will receive free content updates for 1 year.
Cool.
So costumes and stuff is my assumption.
Yeah, they
And
put
maybe
that Monster Hunter one like this week.
Yeah.
It was great.
So apparently they're gonna want stuff like that, and maybe they'll do some other things. Who knows?
I finally typed in the code for my soaps from fucking Sonic Adventure 2. So I was like, well, why would I wear those when I could be a weird animal from Monster Hunter? Cover myself in cool pelts and things. Like, let me do that instead. Then Bob was like, hey, that looks hideous. I'm like, thanks. Well, I'm wearing it. Like an 8-bit tie. When are they adding an 8-bit tie to Sonic Frontiers?
I don't know. I no idea. Witcher 3's next gen update will be December 14th. Please. You couldn't wait until like March.
No.
It had to be right now. Really? Please.
You know what was really cool, Aggro? See, when they first announced they were doing a next gen Witcher update, I was like, man, I hope that runs well on anything I own. I was like, it's too bad. I own the PC version. And then someone was like, well, it's coming to PC too, and it's going to add ray tracing. And I'm like, oh shit! Oh my god! I'm winning, everyone. No, they really should have put this out fast December, please.
Oh yeah, didn't they announce something about Cyberpunk as well, Dan?
Oh my god, I forgot.
Did they?
I forgot to bring this up. They didn't announce it. That was the most fucked up part. The most fucked up part is I'm just watching Digital Foundry and they're like, in version 1.61, they completely redid the temporal anti-aliasing, throwing their terrible in-house solution away and replacing it with FSR 2.1, the game now looks way higher res despite not actually being higher res. It's way sharper. And I'm like, Hacker just beat that game. What the hell is wrong with them?
Looks
And
like
that's
my
on console,
strategy
so-
to wait until that expansion they're doing is the correct option.
Yep,
Right?
You did it right.
It's so insane because here are two reasons I could never expect this. One, this is predicated on me knowing, like speculating this from my perspective, is predicated on me knowing that their in-house temporal anti-aliasing is bad.
Right.
And that they would be the second game ever to toss in FSR 2.1 on console. First game ever, Scorn.
Scored. God, that got nominated for something at the Game Awards.
Of course it did. It's an important game. Microsoft showed it, so it's an important game. Where's my chores representation? I know that was December, but you guys don't include stuff from December. Come on. Jeez. Anyway. I'm excited for that Witcher update. I'm really glad it's coming to PC too. I thought they were just gonna spruce the game
I'm
up.
excited.
Yeah,
They also said basically said we're stealing the mods people really like.
That's how you do it.
yeah.
At least they're saying that instead of Bethesda, which just does it.
Right?
But yeah, I've been holding off on playing this game for years. So this is my first experience with it. Will be the next gen updated one.
Yeah, by the way, my PC version came from Bob.
Yeah, I got my PlayStation version for like $5.
This is great.
That's
This is
also
the way-
how I got mine.
This is how every CD Projekt Red game should be experienced. We should just get it for $5 at some point in time, and then they make it way better. And they're gonna do that shit where they crank the price up on PS5 for The Witcher 3 to like.
Probably.
Oh,
I see it's already like back up at 40 or 50 or something.
really?
I think so.
Wow, that's nutty.
Lionsgate has acquired the feature adaptation rights of the Sega video game Streets of Rage. Derek Kolstad, who writes John Wick, is writing and producing.
Cool.
I thought that they talked about this like a few weeks ago, but maybe I'm crazy.
I thought that was more than a few weeks ago. I thought that was months ago at this point.
Maybe it was just talks and now it's confirmed.
Do you think Lionsgate is brave enough to put out like a major American film that says you can't rely on the police? All you can trust are your fists?
Yes, actually,
Holy
they might
shit.
be.
God, this could be really good if they actually go through with it. But it's a video game movie, so I'm not going to get too much my hopes up.
Yeah,
Right, I never
it's
get my hopes
impossible
up.
It's impossible to get your hopes up.
I
Do you think it'd be set in the 80s or 90s, or do you think they'd do it modern day?
I trust them to understand the assignment.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? They might actually make it like cyberpunk sort of setting, like Blade Runner. Lots of rain, lots of pavement.
That would also work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because some of the levels in Streets of Rage 2 get really weird, involving alien shit.
Oh yeah, they go
underground.
into just here's an 80s movie you liked.
Yeah.
And it's,
Yeah,
there's
it's pretty
that
cool.
now.
So
do
right,
it.
so of
Yeah.
course, as a movie, you just put it in Blade Runner,
Mm-hmm.
right? But no, that would be really good. They need to cast Axel really carefully. I need him to be like some total beefcake.
Yes.
That's important.
So should he have the drive jacket on when they cast him for Axel? Or
No,
no?
he needs to be way more physically intimidating in a way that he can't wear a jacket, and if it is, it must be torn. He must be buff as fuck.
I go to Hugh Jackman, but I know I shouldn't.
How tall is Hugh Jackman? I feel like he's too
really
short.
tall.
Is
He's
he?
like 6'1" or something.
Is he?
People complain about him being way too tall for Wolverine.
Okay. Maybe then. I mean, here's the thing. I'm just like I think Ryan Gosling should play every character. I also think Hugh Jackman should. So like I try to not verbalize that. I try to not vocalize that, you know.
If Dolph Lundgren was much younger, it would be great.
He could be a bad guy.
He could.
He could be like
Absolutely.
a Mr. He could be like a Mr. X or something. I don't know.
You guys are way more optimistic about this movie than
Of course.
We're just-
I heard beat 'em up adaptation. I'm like, oh, it's gonna be Kmart Scott Pilgrim. This is gonna be awesome.
No, there's no way. It's a script by the John Wick guy. Cool. And Edgar Wright's directing. I don't know what this means anymore. I don't know how you combine these two. That doesn't make sense.
Don't worry, we fired him halfway through and brought in David Fincher for some reason.
Let's talk about something really, really fucking funny.
Yep.
NetEase, who publishes and runs Blizzard's games, all of Blizzard's games in China, did not renew their agreement with them, so all of Blizzard's shit shuts down in China January 23rd. All of it.
How the hell does this happen? Why does this happen?
From what we know now, it seems to be that because insiders have been extremely fucking vague. It seems to be that one dude at Blizzard pissed off someone at NetEase. Because insiders were like, it's weird how much damage one jerk can do.
Let's look at the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
May goes into Overwatch jail.
Mm-hmm.
They plan to release her on the 15th.
Mm-hmm.
Something goes wrong. She's still in Overwatch jail, even though they release a $10 skin for her. Today, she gets out of Overwatch jail. And all of Blizzard's games get turned off in China. Now, I'm not saying that that's connected at all. I'm just asking questions.
Eric Gross is Siri crafting.
He's right to ask these questions.
But China is Blizzard's biggest market, so
Yeah.
this is not good for them.
No.
That's bad. It's the opposite of good.
That's true. I've looked into that before. That is a factual statement.
They're going to need South Korea to start picking up a lot more units.
Jesus. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
Dead Island 2 is delayed until April 28th.
So
The cycle continues.
Yeah, sure. April 28th.
So what you're telling me is that the Switch 2 might ship first.
If it gets delayed again, because I'm still putting the Switch 2 at May when Breath of the Wild 2 ships.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And lastly, there's this company called Volition. They made the new Saints Row reboot. It didn't lose money, but it didn't make very much money at all, and basically nobody liked it. In response, Embracers is sending them to the Randy dimension.
Volition made Red Faction.
Yes.
I'm so upset at them.
Red Faction is in the Saints Row universe, or I guess it's backwards. Saints Row is in the Red Faction universe.
God.
But it's just so upsetting to set the people who made Red Faction's Gearbox.
Yeah.
Yes, I need to actually explain what it is. They are moving Volition from under Deep Silver to under Gearbox. And they're really trying to frame this as like, this is not because that game bombed. I'm like, you're replacing all the management, essentially. Of course it is.
Oh, but is Gearbox still owned by Embracer?
They are.
There's been so many acquisitions. I forgot.
That's fair.
Yeah, they're not being sold. They're just being moved to now Gearbox manages Volition.
They're being lobotomized.
Huh.
I cannot stress how unfair this is for me, man who was hoping a good Red Faction was just over the horizon.
I don't know why you would think that.
Because I'm hopelessly optimistic for the sake of Red Faction.
Right? Like I feel that. I mean, I don't feel that. I feel that for you.
Oh, okay.
I feel you feeling that.
Yeah.
On the other side, my insane hope is like, you mean the guys who made Red Faction might be in charge of making some shit for the next Borderlands?
God damn it.
They get to make the vehicles.
Like, I'm telling you, those games just get better on a 45.
The last Red Faction was that really terrible one where you hit buildings and entire uniform pieces of them came off, right?
Firstly, that game's awesome. Secondly, no, it was the game with the gun that reversed time so a bridge could appear. And that's why that one sucks. Because it doesn't have cool structural physics. I insist the reason we didn't get a cooler, more different red faction last gen is because the CPUs in these consoles were fucking potatoes. You couldn't do a larger scale simulation than Gorilla.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, oh, we got these next gen consoles. We can do it. Time. It's just
Yeah.
right over that
It's about
horizon.
time we
No.
try that again.
But no. Jesus. Armageddon.
Yeah.
Embracer announced a bunch of shit.
Yeah, that was just a knife in this fucking haystack full of needles.
Is basically like, we're gonna move things around and might spin off studios and might combine studios. We own so many fucking pieces.
Right.
They signed a 6-year deal with a mystery partner to do fucking something, make multiple games. I don't know who or why.
Wouldn't that just be Microsoft?
I don't think it's Microsoft.
Yeah.
Who do we know that's new on the scene and being tight-lipped about what they're currently working on?
Oh my god! Astrid Entertainment.
I think it would be funny if it was Sony and it's just like, and Sony's just like, we don't want to do backwards compat. Make Unreal 4 remakes of literally everything we've ever done. We'll ship them slowly over 6 years.
I'm so stupid because that got me so excited.
We're going to start with Siphon Filter.
We're gonna make an Ape Escape that runs well, and I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah.
History's first.
Yeah, somebody's going to make an Ape Escape.
Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up! Stop laughing at me! You stop laughing at me right now, motherfucker! I fucking hate you. I'm a Ratchet and Clank fan. It's so fucking easy being me.
I'm still so full.
You fucking piece of shit. Oh, I could go in a movie theater and see a bad movie based on my thing, but at least my thing exists, Dan. Fucking
It was really funny. It was really funny where you and Bob played every Sony first party 3D platform and we're getting mad like Aggro was right. He was always right.
Yeah, no, it was of the three big 5th or 6th gen platformers from Sony. You know, Jack, Ratchet, Spyro. Wait, Sly.
Spy. That's his name, right?
Slyro. I felt like, yeah, Ratchet and Clank really was the best one of those, and it was really, really good. I hate thinking that Aggro's right. You don't understand what it was like going to high school with Aggro. You don't understand how much I don't want to go. You were right. You have good taste. That's like one of the worst things in the world. You could have to be forced to say to someone, you were right and you have good taste. I'm seeing in chat, Ratchet greater than Sly greater than Jack. Bob, how do you feel about that order?
I mean, that's just right. Like, Jack is bad.
Well, what if I told you they were doing the PCD compilations completely backwards to that order?
Like, I don't have a problem dumping on Jack, but I wouldn't say that shit in front of a Sly fan because they all carry knives.
Wait, that you wouldn't say that Sly was worse than Ratchet because they carry knives? Mm-hmm. That was fair.
Yeah, Sly fans.
That's not to say Sly's bad.
No.
Like, in no world.
Sly is pretty good.
However, I believe the cutoff is right below that, where Bob might say some things about Jack.
Jack has an okay game, a terrible game, and then a pretty good game.
And then a racing game, which ran like ass
That
originally.
is 15 hours long.
I don't know. All you have to do is push the final boss out of bounds. God, that was such a good fucking moment. They structured this. They structured this insanely long race you do against the final boss of Jack X, and I'm like, Bob, I could physically move this motherfucker if we do the bridge jump, and then it just in one frame of an explosion, cutscene starts. I beat the game.
That's how you do it.
We need the third one where Dan can drown a third villain.
Right? Ratchet games, they let me become overpowered, and they went, good job. You used the systems of the game to win. Every other video game's like, oh no, you can't trick me.
God, we did something recently that was similar to the Drown the Wish moment.
It was pretty Drown the Witch core.
What was it? Because I think I was playing
Was it when you chain froze the guy in Gotham Knights?
Yeah. Yeah, it's when you went Abby on his ass, like just
the
doing the
final boss
golf
of game,
swing
just-
over and over. That was so busted.
Yes.
What a busted fucking. Anyway, what else is?
And the final thing, Risk
we
of
go.
Rain, the IP. Gearbox just fucking bought it from the devs.
That's weird.
Hmm.
You think
None of the devs, it's not even a joint thing. The devs have already been like, we're not working on it anymore.
Huh.
Weird. I hope they got a shitload of money.
So do I. Because I wouldn't fucking trust Gearbox to not fuck that franchise up.
Yeah, but I guess if you're just done and you get enough money from it, I guess that works.
Right?
It's
Like the
worth
Wordle guy, like just getting out.
Yeah, it's worth noting that I have a sneaking I now have a sneaking suspicion that Embracer might be very stupid.
Okay.
because part of this earnings thing was Tiny Tina's Wonderlands way overperformed our expectations, which has this energy of like, so we're gonna put everything under Gearbox.
Oh no.
That would be terrible if that ends up the case.
I mean, when you're a big enough corporation, that's kind of how
You
act.
operate, yeah.
Look at the metric, respond to the metric.
Yeah, even if it makes literally no sense. It's like you can't do that to every game you own. That's not how this works. There's
No,
not enough
sure.
people there to manage it. There's not enough. That tone does not have the reach you think it does.
No, you remember when Destiny came out and it was popular? Well, then we made every video game. Every video game is Destiny, and it worked just fine. Remember, the industry just expanded at 25% year over year for the quarter forever.
Yeah, that's how it worked. Definitely, the Destiny's ever been profitable for anyone, and Destiny formula worked for anyone else ever.
I was talking about this on Twitter earlier, but it is funny how like between 7th and 8th gen, everybody's sales tripled.
Yeah. Things got a lot better in 8th gen, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all the news.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, I guess it's time to talk about what we're doing next. Tomorrow, not even 24 hours from right now, Bob and I will be playing Binary Domain. My God. 7th Gen Wonderland began at random.
You can't predict it.
What is that? Is that carnival music?
We've been assured this game is good.
We have. And with the power of the Xbox Series X, it sure is running at 60 frames per second from what I've seen. It's very exciting. As I understand it, the people behind Yakuza may or may not be involved. Right?
Wait, what? I thought we were definitely involved.
I don't know. I didn't confirm it. Did you confirm it?
I'm pretty sure I did at some point.
You were like, I'm going to look up all these names. I didn't fucking do
We
it.
got a mystery on our hands now.
Yeah. Who knows? We might
Are-
get some
are
really
you-
good performances.
Are you asking if the Yakuza team was involved with Binary Domain?
Yeah, I didn't.
About to
I
ruin
didn't
the
verify.
mystery.
It was developed by the studio, yes.
Right.
And has the same director.
I trust you.
It's like J.J. Abrams taught us nothing.
Aside from that, I hear a Pokemon game's coming out in like 3 hours and 46 minutes. So I'm going to be playing that, and we will be playing that as a stream on Monday for Pokemon Days.
Some sort of Pokemon Mondays.
Some sort of Pokemon Days all at once, multiple colliding into the
Yes.
stream. I am excited for that game. This is the last moment I get to be completely ignorant of what's in it and just be like, that game's probably going to be really cool. I don't know shit about it. I didn't look up any starter shit. This is great. 3 hours, 46 minutes. I made it. Unless one of you assholes wants to get blocked. Aggro, what do you got going on in the next week? I just have no idea.
I'm going to be dog sitting at my mother's place, so I've got to move a couple of consoles. And for the love of God, I hope I beat God of War tonight.
Will the endless game end? You could probably be in line and be like, I'm not doing any more of these side quests. But then you'd be
the side
depriving
quests are so good.
I know.
But I gotta eat the eggs. The eggs are just there. I paid for the eggs.
I love fighting everything in this game. And I know there's at least 9 more berserkers I have to fight.
Hey, Chris, what are you doing in the next week?
I'm trying to try and fucking finish this endless video game. I'm sure at some point I'll stream something, but I'm not sure what. I just wing it.
You just boot it up and it just starts making the Bowser Infinite Staircase sound. You're like, wait a minute, why isn't it ending? Why is the game ending?
How do I get Kratos to backwards long jump?
God, that would be really good to see that animation applied to Kratos.
He has to do it using the Blades of Chaos. He like throws them behind him into the ground and uses it to launch.
Yeah, there are some leaping animation I could see doing that, which would be great.
That would be so good. Anyways, that's going to do it for this week's Big Think. See you guys later. Thank you for listening to this episode of Big Think to Mention. This was only possible because of your incredible support over at patreon.com/gbpodcast, where you've helped us run this podcast network for almost 4 whole years. Thank you so much. Any sane person would have stopped by now, and your support makes us crazy. I guess the answer to that question was very binary. It was made by them.